Greetings, YouTube. Today I'm going to talk about realism in games, and specifically, how much realism do you like? Now, I'm sure there are people out there that roleplay things that are as close to real as you can get. There are Old West, Wild West games that are as realistic as you can, achieve in the abstraction that we call a tabletop role-playing game. And then there are people who play Toon, which has almost no bearing whatsoever to reality. But I usually prefer to play science fiction and fantasy games that have a foundation in reality, on top of which I will lay in psionics and magic and what have you. And I prefer if real-world things behave in a real-world manner. So, elephants don't climb trees, swords don't weigh 20 pounds, plate armor doesn't weigh 200 pounds. Horses can't fly. Real-world things behave the way they do here. And if someone asks me, well, how does that behave? I can point to the thing and go, just like that, because that's how it behaves. In addition to that, there will be things that fall outside the realm of the normal. Again, as I mentioned, say psionics or FTL ships or magic, things like that. And for me, that's important. Now, I was having a discussion on the D&D news group on Usenet the other day about this very topic. And I was having a disagreement with someone who goes by the name of Sea Wasp. And he's actually a published author. His name is Rick Spoor. And for him, consistency is more important. So in his world, if broadswords weigh 30 pounds, and there is a reason they weigh 30 pounds, and their consequences and the ramifications thereof are across the board, then he's okay with that. Even though, in reality, broadswords don't weigh 30 pounds. But for me, that breaks immersion. For me, to have a world with that consistency that is not founded in reality is like trying to achieve the ultimate Newtonian equation. Trying to calculate where every single atom in the universe is so that you can find out and predict the past and the future. Which, of course, doesn't work because of quantum mechanics, but Newton thought it could. And for me, if you're going to have that level of consistency, that's what you have to do. You have to map out every single atom in the universe. You have to create the very fabric of reality because you're not using the real world. You're creating something from whole cloth. And that means you have to have the warp and weft of that reality created. You have to make that whole cloth, that fabric of reality. And if you don't, it just tatters and falls apart. So for me, I need a base of reality on top of which I build my sandcastles. But it's got to be a solid foundation of reality to work with. So I'm asking my viewers, what is it for you? What do you prefer? What do you need? Now, in case of Sea Wasp's comment about 30-pound broadswords, if I had a player that said, I've got a 30-pound broadsword, I'd say, excellent, you have a -12 to hit. And if you ask me why, I would say because 30-pound broadswords don't work. That may break immersion for that guy. But it would ruin it for me as the GM. And if I joined the game and the GM said, broadswords weigh 30 pounds, I would think this guy does not know anything about actual armor or physics. And I would say, nice knowing ya, and go away. Because that game isn't for me. So I'm asking my viewers, what do you do in that situation? If you have a character that wants to do something that falls well outside of what you consider to be realism or consistency or what have you, or what happens if you find yourself introduced or entering into a game where things are outside your comfort zone. And this is what we're talking about here, our comfort zones. So I guess I'm asking, when it comes to realism, what is your comfort zone?